25. Benny Osler. Why he is great. Benny Osler is the original Springbok superstar, the architect of the pre-war golden era when South Africa was the most feared rugby nation on earth. He was the Nos Botha of his day, a tactical genius and a ferocious competitor who dominated the game with his boot. Osler was a controversial figure, famously dour and uncompromising, who believed that nine-man rugby, with him as the 10th, kicking, was the only path to victory. His game plan was simple. His forwards would destroy the opposition, and he would kick them into submission. And it worked. His first major tour was the 1928 Invincibles Tour to New Zealand, where the Boks drew the series 2-2, but Osler was the outstanding back of the tour. His true masterpiece came as captain of the 1931-32 Springboks on their tour of the British Isles. Osler's team was utterly dominant, achieving a grand slam by beating all four home nations, scoring 28 tries while conceding only one. This team, built in Osler's dour, pragmatic, and physically brutal image, is still regarded as one of the most dominant in history. Osler was the first great Springbok general. He was a brilliant drop kicker, a phenomenal kicker from hand, and a rock-solid defender. He was not a flashy runner, but his mind for the game and his iron will set the template for Springbok fly-half play for half a century. He, along with Henny Muller and Danny Craven, created the aura of invincibility and the forward-dominant kick-and-defend philosophy that became the very DNA of South African rugby.
24. Andre Joubert. Andre the Rolls-Royce Joubert was, for a period, the best fullback in the world, a player of sublime grace, timing, and untouchable counter-attacking skill. Where other fullbacks were solid and safe, Joubert was a lethal attacking weapon. He possessed a gliding, effortless running style that saw him join the backline at the perfect moment, often creating tries from nothing. He was the master of the counterattack, fielding kicks and launching devastating runs that turned defense into offense in a split second. His most heroic performance came in the 1995 Rugby World Cup final. Joubert played almost the entire 100-minute match with a broken hand sustained in the first half. Despite the pain, he put in a flawless defensive performance, fielding countless high balls under pressure from a rampant all-black chase line and repeatedly clearing his lines. It was a display of incredible courage and technical security that was vital to the Springboks' victory. Beyond that one match, Joubert was the attacking heartbeat of the early 90s Bok teams. He was the perfect, elusive runner to complement the power-based game of the forwards. His 10 tries in 34 tests was an excellent return for a fullback of his era. While Percy Montgomery has the points record and the 2007 medal, many South African purists will still argue that Joubert, with his silken running and big game bravery, was the most gifted fullback the country has ever produced.
23. Nos Botha. Hendrik Nos Botha is arguably the greatest tactical fly half of all time, and certainly the most worshipped player of his generation. For South Africans, particularly those of Northern Transvaal, he was a demigod. He was the undisputed master of the tactical kick. He played the game like a grandmaster playing chess, using his boot to pin opponents deep in their own territory, turn giant forward packs, and control the pace and location of the game. His kicking from hand, spirals, up and unders, grubbers, was a form of artistry. He was also a prodigious, metronomic goal kicker and a drop goal specialist. He scored a then world record 312 points in just 28 tests, a staggering average in an era of fewer points per game. He was the general for the dominant 1980 Springbok team that beat the Lions and the 1981 team that toured New Zealand. That 1981 tour, marred by anti-apartheid protests, was where Botha became a household name globally, the face of the unbeatable Springbok machine. Like Donnie Gerber, Botha's career was crippled by isolation. The world was robbed of seeing his genius compete regularly against the best. He was a player who provoked extreme reactions. His own fans adored him, while opponents and critics derided his 10-man style as boring and risk-averse. But his winning record is undeniable. He was a 4-time Currie Cup winner and the ultimate rugby brain, a player who could win a match without his team ever scoring a try.
22. Percy Montgomery. Percy Montgomery is the ultimate Springbok redemption story. For the first half of his career, Monty was a talented but enigmatic player, known for his flashy style, suspect defense, and occasional inconsistency. After a period in the wilderness, Playing in Wales, he was recalled to the Springboks side by Jake White in 2004, and he returned as a completely different player. Mature, professional, and deadly accurate. He transformed himself from a flashy attacker into the most reliable fullback in the world. His greatness was cemented at the 2007 Rugby World Cup. He was the tournament's top point scorer, guiding the Springboks to victory with an immaculate display of goal kicking. His boot was the metronome that kept the box ticking over, and his newfound rock-solid defense and booming tactical kicking from the back made him the perfect general for White's territory-based game plan. He was the calm, experienced head that the team relied on in high-pressure moments. Montgomery retired in 2008 as the first Springbok to ever reach 100 test caps. He also retired as the Springboks' all-time leading point scorer, 893 points, a record that still stands by a massive margin. His transformation from a talented maverick into a dependable World Cup winning machine makes him a Springbok icon. He was the unerringly accurate and reliable foundation upon which the 2007 victory was built.
21. Morny du Plessis. Morny du Plessis is, alongside Pienaar and Smith, in the elite pantheon of great Springbok captains. He was the complete number 8, tall, athletic, intelligent, and a superb linkman between the forwards and backs. He was also a magnificent line-out jumper, forming a dominant partnership with Moner van Heerden. But his primary legacy is his leadership. He captained the Springboks in 15 of his 22 tests and was the man who led South Africa out of a period of decline and into one of dominance in the late 1970s and early 1980s. His first major achievement was leading the Boks to a 3-1 series victory over the All Blacks in 1976, a brutal series remembered for its on-field violence, where du Plessis' cool-headed leadership was a crucial stabilizing force. His greatest triumph, however, came in 1980. He captained the Springboks to a 3-1 series victory over the touring British and Irish Lions, a side stacked with Welsh legends like J.P.R. Williams and Phil Bennett. This victory re-established the Springboks as the undisputed best team in the world. Du Plessis' final act was leading the Boks on the infamous 1980 Tour of South America, after which he retired at the peak of his powers. He was a patrician university-educated leader who commanded universal respect from his teammates and opponents. He was the perfect blend of brains and brawn, and his captaincy record is one of the best in Springbok history. He was also, notably, a vocal opponent of apartheid, and after his playing days, he became the first chairman of the Laureus Sport for Good Foundation in South Africa, working closely with Nelson Mandela.
20. Jacques Fourie. Jacques Fourie was the silent assassin of the Springboks' second golden era. While Habana had the blistering pace and de Villiers the silky skills, Fourie was arguably the most complete and intelligent outside back of the three. He was a big, powerful, and deceptively fast player who possessed the priceless gift of running perfect lines. He instinctively knew when to hit a gap, when to act as a decoy, and how to create space for his teammates. His defensive game was even better. He was widely considered the best defensive outside center in the world, a master of the drift defense who expertly shut down outside channels and possessed the power to make dominant tackles. His finest moment came in the deciding second test of the 2009 British and Irish Lions series. With time expiring and the Springboks trailing, Fourie received a pass on the wing, chipped the ball over a defender, gathered it, and was tackled just short. From the resulting ruck, the Boks won a penalty, which Morné Steyn kicked to win the series. But just moments earlier, it was Fourie who scored one of the great clutch Springbok tries, powering over in the corner to level the scores. He was an indispensable part of the 2007 Rugby World Cup winning team, playing every single minute of the tournament. His rock-solid defensive partnership with Frans Steyn in the final was crucial in keeping England tryless. He was also a prolific try scorer, ending his career with 32 tries, second on the all-time list for a Springbok center, behind de Villiers, though Fourie played many games on the wing. He was the ultimate player's player, reliable, intelligent, and always world-class.
19. Bismarck du Plessis.
For a significant period of his career, Bismarck du Plessis was, quite simply, the best and most destructive hooker in world rugby. He was a new breed of front rower, a player who possessed the set-piece skills of a traditional hooker, but played the open field game of a top-tier flanker. He was a force of nature at the breakdown, second only to specialists like Richie McCaw or David Pocock in his ability to poach the ball. His jackling technique was textbook, and his low center of gravity and immense strength made him nearly impossible to clear out. But his game didn't stop there. He was also a phenomenal ball carrier, known for his explosive leg drive and aggressive charges that often scattered defenders. And in defense, he was terrifying, famous for his bone-rattling tackles that could change the momentum of a game in an instant. His most famous and controversial hit was a legal, textbook, but utterly devastating tackle on All-Black Dan Carter in 2013, which sent Carter flying and epitomized du Plessis' physical dominance. He began his career as an understudy to John Smit, earning a World Cup winners medal in 2007 as an impact player. He soon became so good that he forced the Springbok captain, Smit, to move to prop to keep both men on the field. He was a pillar of the 2009 Lions beating and Tri-Nations winning team. Alongside his brother, Yanni, he formed half of a formidable family front row. He was the perfect synthesis of old-school grunt and new-school athleticism, a player who redefined what a number 2 could be.
17. John de Villiers. John de Villiers was the complete modern center, a player who blended silky skills and raw power with an astute rugby brain. At 6'3" and over 220 pounds, he was a physically imposing midfielder, but he played with the finesse of a smaller man. He was a master of the inside-outside break, had a brilliant offloading game, and was a suffocating defensive presence, renowned for his ability to read opposition attacks and execute try-saving tackles. He was also an outstanding finisher, scoring 27 tries, making him the highest-scoring center in Springbok history. De Villiers was a cornerstone of the Springboks' most successful eras. He was a key member of the 2007 Rugby World Cup squad, though his tournament was cruelly cut short by a torn bicep in the very first pool match. He returned to his peak to become a vital part of the 2009 team that conquered the British and Irish Lions and won the Tri-Nations. His partnership with Jacques Fury in the midfield is still regarded as one of the best and most balanced center pairings in modern rugby. After John Smith's retirement, de Villiers took over the Springbok captaincy and became one of the most respected leaders in the sport. His leadership was defined by his calm demeanor, his tactical intelligence, and the deep admiration his teammates had for him. His career was a constant battle against horrific injuries, including multiple devastating knee ligament tears, but his courage and resilience saw him fight back time and time again. His final heartbreaking injury in his last World Cup in 2015, where he broke his jaw after returning from another ACL tear, was a tragic end to the career of a true Springbok warrior.
16. Joël Stransky. Joël Stransky's greatness is immortalized by a single kick of the rugby ball. While he was a superb fly-half in his own right, a reliable distributor, a brave defender, and an excellent tactical kicker, his entire career and legacy are defined by one moment, the 1995 Rugby World Cup final. In the 92nd minute, during a tense, brutal, and scoreless period of extra time against the All Blacks, Stransky received a pass from his scrum half, Joost van der Westhuizen. From 30 meters out and under immense pressure, he slotted a perfect drop goal. This score gave South Africa a 15-12 lead, which they would hold on to win their first ever World Cup. That kick is arguably the single most iconic moment in rugby history. It was not just a match winner, it was the kick heard round the world, the sporting climax to Nelson Mandela's Rain on Nation script. It delivered a moment of pure, unified ecstasy to a nation desperately in need of it. Stransky had already scored all of South Africa's points in that final, 3 penalties and a drop goal, before his extra-time heroics, keeping the Boks in the fight against the New Zealand team that had rampaged through the tournament. While that moment defines him, it's often forgotten that he was the tournament's top point scorer in 1995. He was also the man who guided the Boks backline through their first post-isolation years. But history will forever remember him as the man who took the pass, held his nerve, and struck the blow that secured the most important victory the Springboks have ever achieved. That one kick grants him eternal legendary status. 15. Peter Steph Dutoit. Peter Steph Dutoit is a genetic marvel, a super bore who combines the height and line-out prowess of a world-class lock with the relentless engine, brutal tackling, and powerful carrying of a truly elite blindside flanker. At 6'7" and nearly 260 pounds, Dutoit is an athletic phenomenon who simply does not stop working. He is the superhuman engine of the modern Springbok pack, a player who consistently tops the charts for tackles, carries, and ruck involvements in every single game he plays. His career-defining year was 2019. He produced one of the most sustained periods of individual dominance in modern rugby history. He was the relentless, physical heartbeat of the team that won the Rugby Championship and, later, the Rugby World Cup. His performance in the World Cup final against England was a masterpiece of controlled violence. He made an astounding 28 tackles and was a constant, destructive presence at the breakdown. His efforts were recognized when he was deservedly named the 2019 World Rugby Player of the Year, only the third Springbok to win the award. Like many great Boks, his story is also one of resilience. In 2020, he suffered a freak leg injury so severe that doctors told him he was hours away from requiring an amputation. He endured multiple surgeries and a grueling rehab to return. He not only returned, but was a key player in the 2021 Lions Series victory and again in the 2023 Rugby World Cup, where he won his second winner's medal. His performance in the 2023 final against England, making 28 tackles, was a mirror image of his 2019 final, cementing his status as one of the all-time great big-game players.
14. Henny Muller. Henny Muller is a towering figure from the post-war era, considered by many who saw him play to be the greatest number 8 and captain the Springboks ever had. Nicknamed Windhond for his incredible pace and fitness, Muller revolutionized forward play. In an era where forwards were expected to stay in the tight exchanges, Muller was a dynamic, wide-ranging athlete who linked play between forwards and backs, effectively acting as a fourth loose forward. He was the prototype of the modern all-action number 8, decades ahead of his time. His impact as a captain was immense. He took charge of the Springboks in 1949 and led them on one of their most dominant runs. First, he captained the side to a 4-0 whitewash of the visiting All Blacks, a feat of total supremacy that still stings in New Zealand. He was the undisputed leader and best player in that series. His crowning glory came in 1951-52 when he captained the Boks on their arduous 31-match tour of the British Isles and France. Muller's team was utterly dominant, achieving a grand slam by defeating England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, before also beating France. They lost only one match on the entire tour. Muller's tactical brain, his inspiring leadership, and his revolutionary style of play cemented this team as one of the all-time greats. He was a fearsome defender, a brilliant attacker, and the brain of the operation. He played only 13 tests, but his 100% win record as captain and his profound influence on the game give him a mythical status in Springbok lore.
13. Os Durant. Patrice Os Durant is quite simply the greatest prop South Africa has ever produced. His legend is built on two pillars: his astonishing longevity in the sport's most brutal position and the unique distinction of being the first South African to win 2 Rugby World Cups. His career is a story in 2 acts. In the first, he was the dominant loosehead prop for the triumphant 1995 World Cup team, a young behemoth with surprising mobility and handling skills who anchored the Springbok scrum. He was a key part of the dominant Boks sides of the late 90s, including the 1998 Tri-Nations winners. In 2000, his career was seemingly ended by a series of debilitating injuries. He retired from the sport, returned to his farm in the Free State, and was effectively out of elite rugby for 3 years. However, in 2003, in one of rugby's greatest comebacks, he was coaxed out of retirement by coach Rossi Erasmus for the Free State Cheetahs. He returned to the game leaner, smarter, and more focused. In 2004, Jake White recalled him to the Springboks, a move seen as a huge gamble. It proved to be a masterstroke. Durant's second act was even more impressive than his first. He became the group boss of the Springbok pack, the immovable object at loosehead prop.
He anchored the scrum that provided the foundation for the 2017 Rugby World Cup victory. At 35, he played the full 80 minutes of the final against England, putting in a colossal scrum-dominating performance before being substituted in the dying seconds to a standing ovation. This 12-year gap between his 2 World Cup winners' medals is a record and a testament to his unmatched durability and class.
12. Schalk Burger. Schalk Burger was a force of nature, a player who redefined the boundaries of physicality and endurance for a loose forward. For over a decade, he was the untamed, peroxide blonde soul of the Springbok pack. Burger played with a reckless, almost manic disregard for his own body, throwing himself into contact with an intensity that often defied belief. He was a devastating ball carrier, a destructive tackler, and a nightmare at the breakdown. His legendary stamina and relentless work rate meant he was as impactful in the 80th minute as he was in the first. His breakthrough year was 2004, when he was named IRB World Player of the Year at just 21, having established himself as the most feared flanker on the planet. He was a central cog in the machine that won the 2007 Rugby World Cup, providing the mongrel and physical edge that allowed the team's other stars to operate. He was also a key member of the 2009 side that defeated the Lions and won the Tri-Nations. However, Burger's greatness is also a story of incredible resilience. In 2013, he suffered a calf injury, but during the operation, he developed bacterial meningitis. The illness was so severe that he was placed in a medically induced coma, and his family was told to prepare for the worst. Miraculously, he not only survived, but fought his way back to full health and fitness. In an astonishing comeback, he regained his place in the Springbok team and was one of their outstanding players at the 2015 Rugby World Cup. He is the only Springbok to play in 4 World Cups and retired as a beloved icon, admired as much for his indomitable spirit as for his on-field ferocity.
11. John Smit. John Smit is one of the most successful and revered captains in rugby union history. His greatness is defined by his granite-like leadership, his immense versatility, and his central role in the Springboks' second golden era. Smit captained South Africa a record 83 times, a testament to the unwavering trust his coaches and teammates placed in him. He was not a flashy player, but he was the ultimate rock. He was a technically superb hooker with a flawless set-piece game, a powerful scrummager, and a tireless worker in the loose. His true gift was his calm, authoritative, and stoic leadership, which held the team together under the most intense pressure. Smith's defining achievement was captaining the Springboks to victory at the 2007 Rugby World Cup. He was the on-field general for Jake White's team, managing a diverse group of personalities and ensuring they peaked at the perfect moment. But his captaincy resume doesn't stop there. In 2009, he led one of the greatest Springbok sides of all time to a brutal 2-1 series victory over the British and Irish Lions, and in the same year won the Tri-Nations title, defeating the All Blacks 3 times. He is the only Springbok captain to have held the Webb Ellis Cup, the Tri-Nations Trophy, and a Lions series win. What truly solidifies his legacy is his selflessness. In 2008-2009, when the team needed to accommodate the phenomenal Bismarck du Plessis at hooker, Smit, a World Cup-winning captain, uncomplainingly packed down at tight head prop, one of the most difficult positions on the field, simply because it was what the team needed. This willingness to sacrifice his own comfort for the team's success cemented his status as a Springbok legend. He was the glue that held a generation of superstars together.
10. Bakkies Botha. Why he is great? If Victor Matfield was the brains of the greatest lock partnership in rugby history, Bakkies Botha was its terrifying, uncompromising brawn. Botha was the ultimate enforcer, a player who lived on the very edge of the laws and whose sole purpose on the field appeared to be the physical and mental dismantling of the opposition pack. He was feared, reviled, and respected in equal measure. His style of play was brutally simple. He hit rucks with more force than any other player in the game, he tackled with bone-jarring intent, and he brought an intimidating confrontational edge that often crossed the line, but in doing so created space and fear that his teammates exploited. This reputation, however, unfairly masks the boer-swooping athleticism he possessed. For such a huge man, he was remarkably mobile and had a high work rate, often appearing in the wide channels to support play. His true value was as an enforcer plus. He provided the ballast in the scrum, the raw power in the maul, and the psychological hard guard for the entire Springbok team. You never ever took a liberty with the Boks when Bakkies was on the field. He was the non-negotiable hard man of the 2007 Rugby World Cup winning team, the player who did the dark, unseen work that allowed the stars to shine. He was central to the 2009 Lions series win, where his aggressive cleanouts became a major flashpoint. Alongside Matfield, he won 3 Super Rugby titles with the Bulls and, after leaving South Africa, won 3 European titles with Toulon, proving his value in 2 different hemispheres. He, along with Etzebeth, defines the modern role of the Springbok enforcer lock, a player whose presence alone can change the tenor of a match.
9. Donnie Gerber. Donnie Gerber is perhaps the greatest what-if story in Springbok history. Widely regarded as one of the most talented centers the game has ever seen, Gerber's prime coincided almost perfectly with South Africa's sporting isolation. As a result, the world was robbed of seeing his genius on a regular basis, and he played only 24 tests over a 12-year period. Those who did see him play, and those who faced him, speak of him with a sense of awe. He was the complete attacking center. He had a devastating outside break, an explosive sidestep, blinding pace, and immense power that saw him run through tackles as often as he ran around them. He was a try-scoring machine, crossing the line 19 times in his 24 matches, a strike rate for a center that remains astonishing to this day. In an era of slower, more structured backline play, Gerber was an individualistic force of nature who could tear a defensive line to shreds from anywhere on the field. His performance in the 1981 series against Ireland, which the Boks won 2-0, and his displays against the visiting South American Jaguars and New Zealand Cavaliers gave glimpses of his world-class ability. Legendary All-Black Grant Fox named Gerber as the best player he ever played against, stating he was head and shoulders above any other player in the world. Welsh legend J.P.R. Williams called him the best center in the world. Had Gerber played in the modern televised era with regular World Cups and international championships, he would likely be spoken of in the same breath as Brian O'Driscoll or Tim Horan. For South Africans, he remains the benchmark for attacking midfield play, a symbol of the brilliant talent that was hidden from the world stage.
8. Eben Etzebeth. Eben Etzebeth is the modern embodiment of the archetypal Springbok enforcer. He is a physical specimen of terrifying proportions, combining 6'8" height with over 270 pounds of explosive muscle. And he plays with a controlled ferocity that intimidates opponents before the first whistle has even blown. A spiritual successor to the legendary Bakkies Botha, Etzebeth is the pack's general of aggression, the player who protects his teammates, cleans out rucks with devastating power, and ensures the Springboks are never physically bettered. His confrontational stare-downs and raw strength have made him one of the most feared and respected forwards in the world. But to label him as just an enforcer would be a gross injustice. Etzebeth is an extraordinarily complete and skillful modern lock. He is a world-class line-out jumper, a powerful ball carrier who regularly breaks the gain line, and a defensive workhorse with a huge tackle count. His longevity and consistency are remarkable. He became the youngest Springbok to reach 50 caps and is now one of the most capped players in the nation's history. His true greatness has been cemented in the modern Rossi era. He was a colossal presence in the 2019 Rugby World Cup winning pack, the senior partner in the bomb squad engine room. 4 years later, he was arguably even better, playing the best rugby of his career as he led the Boks to their second consecutive World Cup title in 2023. His performance against France in the 2023 quarterfinal, where he made a seemingly impossible try-saving charge down, scored a crucial try of his own, and dominated the physical exchanges, is considered one of the greatest individual performances by a lock in World Cup history. He is a 2-time world champion and the undeniable hard man of his generation.
7. Danny Craven. Why he is great. Dr. Danny "Doc" Craven is the founding father and spiritual guardian of South African rugby. His influence on the game as a player, coach, and administrator is unmatched, and his name is synonymous with the sport itself. As a player, he was a rare genius, representing the Springboks at scrum half, fly half, center, and even number 8. He was a brilliant,
innovative tactical thinker with a famously crisp and accurate dive pass that became a staple of scrum half play worldwide. He captained the Boks on their legendary 1937 tour to New Zealand, where they became the first, and for decades the only, Springbok team to ever win a series on all-black soil. That 1937 team is still regarded as one of the greatest sides South Africa ever assembled, and Craven was its architect. His on-field career was cut short by World War II, but his impact was just beginning. As a coach, he led the Springboks to a dominant 4-0 series whitewash of the All Blacks in 1949. His true power, however, came as an administrator. From 1956 until 1992, he was the president of the South African Rugby Board. For nearly 4 decades, he was the single most powerful man in world rugby, a deeply conservative and unyielding figure who controlled the fate of the Springboks. He was a complex and controversial figure, fiercely protecting South African rugby during the isolation years and becoming the face of apartheid-era sport. Yet, in a stunning move, he defied the government by meeting with the banned African National Congress in 1988 to begin the negotiations that would lead to rugby's unification. His legacy is dual-sided. He was both a brilliant player who defined the Springbok ethos and a stubborn administrator who presided over the game's darkest chapter. The National Rugby Stadium in Stellenbosch bears his name, a testament to his undeniable, all-encompassing influence.
6. Victor Matfield. Why he's great. Victor Matfield is universally acknowledged as the greatest line-out forward in the history of rugby. He was not just a player, he was a strategic general who controlled the skies. Standing at 6'7", Matfield combined his physical height with an unparalleled intellect for the game, an encyclopedic knowledge of opponent systems, and a freakish ability to read the thrower's intentions. For over a decade, the Springbok lineout was virtually untouchable, a source of 100% possession for South Africa, and a primary weapon for stealing opposition ball. He ran the lineout like a conductor, and his symbiotic partnership with hooker Bismarck du Plessis became the stuff of legend. But Matfield was far more than a set-piece specialist. He was a phenomenal athlete in the open field, possessing soft hands and an offloading ability that would make a center proud. He was a key component of the link play between the bomb squad forwards and the dynamic backline. His work rate was immense, and he was a master of the choke tackle defense. His leadership was calm, cerebral, and authoritative, serving as a tactical foil to the more passionate leadership of teammates like John Smith. His list of achievements is staggering. He was the undisputed master of the lineout during the 2007 Rugby World Cup victory, providing the platform for everything the Springboks achieved. He was a critical senior player in the 2009 team that dominated the British and Irish Lions and won the Tri-Nations. He won multiple Super Rugby titles with the Bulls, forming the engine room of one of the greatest club sides in history alongside Bakkies Botha. He became the most capped Springbok of all time, finishing with 127 caps. Matfield's genius was such that he didn't just win his position, he changed how it was played.
5. Siya Kolisi. Why he is great? Siya Kolisi's legacy is, like Pienaar's, built on a foundation of seismic cultural impact backed by world-class performance. In 2018, he was named the first ever black captain of the Springboks in the team's 126-year history. This was a moment of profound significance in a nation still grappling with the shadows of its past. The pressure and symbolism placed on his shoulders were immense, recalling the burden Pienaar carried in 1995. Kolisi, with his characteristic humility, grace, and people's captain demeanor, not only bore this weight, but thrived under it. His crowning achievement came just 1 year later, leading South Africa to a dominant victory in the 2019 Rugby World Cup. He was the emotional and physical heart of the team, an all-action open-side flanker whose tireless work at the breakdown, powerful carrying, and crunching tackles set the tone. His performance in the 32-12 final victory over England was a masterclass. The image of him hoisting the Webb Ellis Cup, a black man from the Zwaidi township who grew up in poverty, was a moment of national catharsis and inspiration, described by many as even more significant than the 1995 victory.
Khaleesi was not a one-hit wonder. He repeated the impossible by leading the Springboks to another World Cup victory in 2023, becoming only the second captain in history to win back-to-back tournaments. He also captained the side to a bruising 2-1 series victory over the British and Irish Lions in 2021. His leadership style, based on empathy, unity, and an understanding of the why, has forged one of the most resilient and successful eras in Springbok history. He is a global icon and a symbol of hope.
4. Bryan Habana. Bryan Habana is, without question, the greatest attacking weapon the Springboks have ever produced. He is the ultimate finisher, a player whose blistering pace and uncanny ability to read the game made him a try-scoring phenomenon. His 67 tries in 124 tests are not just a Springbok record. They place him second on the all-time international list, tied with Australia's David Campes. His most enduring legacy is his joint ownership of the all-time Rugby World Cup tries record, which he shares with Jonah Lomu. Habana's career is defined by his explosive contributions to winning teams. His crowning achievement was the 2007 Rugby World Cup. He was the undisputed player of the tournament, scoring a staggering 8 tries and being named the IRB World Player of the Year. His tries weren't just tap-downs. They were often game-changing intercepts or long-range sprints, such as his famous try against Argentina in the semifinal. He was famously so fast that he raced and beat a cheetah in a 100-meter publicity stunt. Beyond that 2007 peak, Habana was a model of consistent brilliance. He was a cornerstone of the 2009 team that defeated the British and Irish Lions in a brutal series and won the Tri-Nations in the same year. He possessed a phenomenal work rate, was strong in defense, and had a keen poacher's instinct, always appearing in the right place at the right time. He evolved from a pure speedster into a savvy, experienced leader, becoming a vice-captain and mentor to younger players. For over a decade, whenever the Springboks needed a moment of magic, they looked to Bryan Habana.
3. Joost van der Westhuizen. Why he is great. Joost van der Westhuizen fundamentally redefined the scrum half position. Before him, the number 9 was typically a small, quick passer whose job was to clear the ball from the breakdown. Joost was built like a third flanker. At 6'2", he was a tall, powerful, and aggressive athlete who posed as much of a running threat as any back. He wasn't just a distributor. He was a primary attacking weapon, known for his sniping runs, explosive acceleration from the base of the ruck, and a powerful fend. His 38 tries in 89 test matches was a world record for a scrum half at the time, illustrating his unique offensive impact. His most famous moment came in the 1995 Rugby World Cup final. While Pianata provided the inspiration, Joost provided the critical, game-saving grit. He famously executed 2 bone-jarring tackles on the unstoppable Jonah Lomu, who had steamrolled every other opponent in the tournament. These tackles, particularly one where he cut Lomu down at the ankles in a desperate covering sprint, symbolized the Springboks' defiant they-shall-not-pass mentality and were crucial to winning the cup. Beyond 1995, van der Westhuizen was the heartbeat of the Springbok team for a decade. He was a key member of the 1998 Tri-Nations winning side, South Africa's first-ever title, and captained the team to the 1999 RWC semifinal. He was a ferocious competitor, a leader, and a player whose size and skill combination made him a nightmare for defenses. His tragic battle with motor neuron disease after his career and the courageous way he faced it through his J9 Foundation only added to his heroic status in South Africa and around the world.
2. Francois Pienaar. Francois Pienaar's greatness transcends the rugby pitch. He is arguably the most important captain in the history of the sport. While a world-class flanker in his own right, a hard-tackling, intelligent, and relentless loose forward, his legacy is defined by his leadership during one of the most pivotal moments in modern history. Appointed as captain by manager Kitch Christie, Pienaar was tasked with leading a Springbok team that had only just returned from international isolation. The team was seen by most of the nation's black population as a symbol of the hated apartheid regime. Pienaar's true challenge was not just to win rugby matches, but to win the Rainbow Nation. He embraced President Nelson Mandela's vision of using the 1995 Rugby World Cup, held on home soil, as a tool for national reconciliation. Pienaar led his team in learning the new national anthem, Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika, and made a concerted effort to take the team to townships and connect with all South Africans. This was a political and cultural act, as much as a sporting one. On the field, his leadership was immense. He captained an unfancied Springbok side on an improbable run, culminating in the legendary final against the seemingly invincible New Zealand All Blacks, led by the terrifying Jonah Lomu. The Springboks' brutal, courageous defensive performance in that 15-12 extra-time victory is a testament to Pienaar's ability to inspire his men to play beyond their limits. The iconic image of Nelson Mandela wearing a Springbok number 6 jersey with Pienaar's number on the back, handing the Webb Ellis Cup to a triumphant Pienaar, is one of the 20th century's most powerful symbols of racial unity and forgiveness. Pienaar was not just a World Cup winning captain, he was the on-field architect of a new nation's first great triumph.
1. Frick du Preez. Widely regarded as South Africa's greatest ever player, Frederick Frick du Preez was named the country's Player of the 20th Century. His mythical status is built on a foundation of athletic ability that was decades ahead of its time. In an era where forwards were specialists, either bulky locks or mobile flankers, du Preez was both. At 6'2" and over 230 pounds, he had the size and strength to dominate the lineout and scrummage with the best locks in the world. But he also possessed the shocking pace, handling skills, and kicking ability of a back. He was the complete rugby player, a total forward, before the term was popularized by the Dutch in football. His legend is crystallized by a single performance for Northern Transvaal against the Free State in 1968. In that match, du Preez famously did everything. He charged down a kick, gathered the ball, out-sprinted the opposition backs to score a try in the corner, then converted his own try from the touchline, and later slotted a drop goal. This combination of speed, power, and skill in one player, particularly a lock, was unheard of. During his decade-long international career, he was the talisman of the Springbok pack. He was a key figure in the 1965 series win against the All Blacks and the dominant 1969-70 series win against the Wallabies. His impact wasn't just in his physical attributes, but in his competitive spirit. He was a fearsome, uncompromising player who set the standard for Springbok forward play for generations. His versatility was such that he was selected at lock, flanker, and even number 8 for the Springboks, excelling in every position. Long after his retirement, his name remains the benchmark against which all other Springbok forwards are measured.